Hello and greetings. Welcome. I am Wolf King #1 YouTube atheist rationalist, overall skeptic of the supernatural at your service. And today I'm going to talk to you about the predictive power of godless mathematics. Now, understanding this methodology is essential because not only does it help build civilizations, but it also expands the knowledge of mankind through its emphasis and study of physical evidence and reasoned logic. Now, why is it that scientists only focus on things they can actually observe and test, as opposed to things that they cannot, like supernatural explanations, for example, like God, spirits, supernatural realms? Now, the reason science limits itself by its refusal to make stuff up like that is because any attempt to try to correlate something they could actually observe and test with a supernatural claim is never fruitful. It leads to scientific dead ends and God the gaps hypotheses, and this can deliver no practical knowledge about reality. Therefore, scientists only focus on things they can actually observe, test, measure, quantify, repeat, etc., because this actually delivers the goods. Indeed, modern civilization, with modern medicine, public transportation, communication, and overall the internet and the personal computer, is all a monument to what we could directly observe and test: physical evidence and reasoned logic, essentially scientific naturalism. Now, the reason, let me actually give an example to put this in a greater perspective, like the creationism and evolution debate. Although it's not really a debate, the people who subscribe to evolution pretty much won. Now, creationism is the belief that all life essentially has been made or created by a supernatural deity. Now, one of the arguments that a person who subscribes to creationism will give is an argument from design. Like, humans have created so much stuff like chairs, boxes, paintings, etc., we can intuitively assume that all of reality was produced by a supernatural entity. Now, it's based on a faulty premise because people perceive nature to be intelligently designed based on our experiences with human artifacts. For example, the reason we understand a painting has a painter is because we've directly observed paintings being made by painters. We understand that through empirical evidence, through empirical experience. We have no experience of it coming through non-human intelligence, through it coming about on its own or naturally, or it coming from a supernatural agent. Therefore, we don't assert nor assume that. This is as opposed to evolution, which has an abundant amount of evidence for it because it actually occurs in the natural world. It explains the biodiversity of the natural world. For example, you can look at artificial selection and how human beings have essentially domesticated plants and animals for thousands of years and continue to do so. And through the extension, we have genetic engineering, although there are some ethical concerns about that. The theory of evolution also explains and helps us build better vaccines, antibiotics, and other medicines that help kill things that evolve, like viruses and bacteria. Same thing goes for parasites and pesticides as well. Understanding how they survive via natural selection and mutation, we can understand how to create better poisons that could kill them. And also at the genetic level, we could understand how certain life forms are more related to each other than others. Although all life shares essentially common ancestry with each other at the genetic level, because all life is based on the same subset of molecules and also built from cells. So There's that. Now, there are people who tell me that, well, science can't explain everything, or there are some questions that science hasn't answered, or we haven't gotten the full picture of reality yet, and science hasn't really answered every question. Well, yeah, I understand. Science hasn't science hasn't answered every question. That doesn't mean you have. That doesn't mean that. That doesn't mean you're obligated to just make up a supernatural explanation and say that's real just because you say you believe that. Because there's a difference between belief and knowledge. Knowledge is demonstrable and measurable in its accuracy. A belief is a subjective opinion. The reason the reason science also limits itself by its refusal to make stuff up is because of its dedication to actually understanding what is real from the unreal. That is essentially what it's used for. Now, a supernatural explanation lacks predictive capability. It lacks the ability to be observed, tested, repeated, etc., etc. That's why it's looked on with so much skepticism, and that's why it's excluded from science altogether. Is because it essentially holds it back from actually understanding reality. If supernatural entities or anything supernatural does exist, it's more unexplained than it actually is occurring. And if it doesn't occur, it's not so much unexplained rather than fictional. We actually the reason we actually understand reality is through actually focusing on the natural order of our physical universe, not anything that actually exists out of it. And that's essentially why godless mathematics works. Because it's better to focus on the real than the unreal. To quote a brilliant scientist, ignorance frequently begets confidence than it does knowledge. Charles Darwin. Let us focus on what we can actually understand as opposed to things that we can never really understand and never really can actually prove. Let's focus on things with predictive capability as opposed to things without. Thank you. Okay, if you like this video, subscribe, comment, fave, share with friends, yada yada yada. This is Wolf King, out.